Dear conference participants, the national anthem of the Republic of Azerbaijan is playing. Dear ladies and gentlemen, valuable conference participants, economic results of a century dedicated to the 100th anniversary of the birth of national leader Heydar Aliyev, jointly organized by Azerbaijan State University of Economics, Heydar Aliyev Center, UNEC International Masters and Doctorate Center and the Regional Development Public Union with the main sponsorship of Pasha Holding Group of Companies. We welcome you on the second day of the 5th International Scientific Conference of Researchers in the field of economics and management, Green Day, and we are pleased to see you, each of you here. I would like to ask each of you to stand up for a minute of silence to remember the dear memory of great leader Heydar Aliyev and our martyrs who died for the territorial integrity of Azerbaijan Republic. May God bless them. We will start the Green Day with a panel discussion entitled Clean and Alternative Energy as the main pillar of sustainable development, with the support of the UNEC Center for Sustainable Development and Green Economy, sponsored by the British Petroleum and Forces. We'll have the opening ceremony of the conference and the panel discussion called Challenges in the Turkic Wall behind us yesterday. Today we are on the second day of the conference, and today is completely dedicated to sustainable development, green economy, alternative energy and other related topics under the name Green Day. So today we will be in front of you with two panels covering these topics. On the second day of the conference, I invite the honorary chairman of the conference, Professor Adalet Muradov, rector of UNEC, to the stage to deliver the opening speech. Dear Mr. Bakhtiar, dear conference participants, I would like to welcome you here on the 5th International Conference of Researchers in the field of economics and management. So I would like to thank for the invitation and for accepting our invitation. Our moderator actually provided short information about our conference, and today is the second day of our conference, and so the conference will continue for 4 days, and it is devoted to the 100 years of anniversary of birth of national leader Heydar Aliyev. Today we will have 2 panels, and we are going to talk about green economy. It is not a coincidence, and first of all I would like to stress that for the opening of the conference, so actually we are going to cover the pressing topics that will be covered today, and actually the book was published on these topics, and so this book will be shared to all the universities and libraries electronically. Why we actually pay so much attention to the green economy within this conference? First of all, I would like to stress that after the liberation of Karabakh from the Armenian occupation, and also the strategy that is applied to the rebuilding of this area actually happens thanks to the instructions of the Ilham Aliyev, the president of Azerbaijan Republic, and so I think that there is a big responsibility of scientists and professionals in this area. So therefore, within the framework of the Green Day, we are going to speak about the science, and we will hear the scientific achievements in this field, and also the achievements. And actually, when we think of a green economy, so it actually raises a lot of questions that has not found their answers yet. Thus, green economy, in comparison with the traditional economy, is restricted to the space, and it accepts that there are actually unlimited potential in this area. Also, speaking of our economy, so actually we keep saying that the main duty of the economic science is that to create resources that will maximum meet the needs, the demands, and the green economy actually destroyed all these concepts of the green economy. Just unequivocally stresses that it is not possible to meet all the needs with the green resources. Also, green economy also shows that on the ground everything is interrelated to each other. So therefore we think that so I think in this panel we will kind of think or just exchange views on these challenges. And also the other side of green economy is that it requires that science-based production. It also includes the application of technology that actually leads to the situation where scientists and also the professionals in this area should think of these issues as well. So there is a liability on all of us, and we will try our best to meet this liability. It is not a coincidence that the leading countries of the world focus on green economy. So this is a quite new developed phenomena that actually is not quite it's very quite young, that started in 90s of the last century, and so the trends and also the movements in this area kind of calls the attention of the whole world. And actually in the mid of this century, so the competition or competitive capability of the countries will be defined with the level of the development of their green economy. And Azerbaijan, in order to keep its stance in this field, so there is a need for very serious measures and steps to be taken. If we just look at the experience of South Korea in 2011, they decided that the 3% of the GDP during the 5-year, over $60 billion of dollars should come from the green economy. What is interesting from their experience is that they started applying the green card. So this actually allows to evaluate the consumer, the usage or behavior of the consumers. So they use it in the buses. So this information allows to account the number of passengers using buses, and also it allows to define what kind of commodities are mostly used. And if we speak of the leading economies such as the USA, the basis of the green economy strategy of USA includes the energy, the green energy, and the 60% of the energy is produced by green economy. 35% actually is met. All the needs are covered by 30% of the green economy. And I think that conference also will raise scientific and practical topics related to Green Day and green economy, and we will find out and get some very serious recommendations for Azerbaijan to develop in this direction. Once again, thank you very much for accepting the invitation, and I wish good luck to the conference. Thank you very much for their attention. Thank you very much, Mr. Adalet. And each conference carries a message. This conference, which was held for the 5th time, tried to combine the social, economic, and cultural messages of the great leader, which cannot fit into one century. Heydar Aliyev has always given important messages about environmental protection. He said, "A person must build, create. Every person must plant, cultivate, and grow a tree. If someone cuts a healthy tree, he not only betrays his people, nation, country, but also betrays his family and betrays his family and himself." Based on this message, we decided to present Elder pine seedlings to the guests who participated in our conference. The seedlings we donate will reach Azerbaijan and all over the world. If we have a small share in the development of our green world, how nice for us. Taking this opportunity, we would like to thank the Ministry of Ecology and Natural Resources of the Republic of Azerbaijan for their support and organization of seedlings. Within the framework of the conference, various books dedicated to the 100th anniversary of the birth of the great leader are exhibited, one of which is the book Exploring the Green Economy, Issues, Challenges, and Benefits, in English, which contains current scientific research on the green economy. You can get acquainted with the electronic version of the book on the official website of the conference. Now I would like to invite our moderator and also the speaker. The moderator is Bakhtiyar Aslanbeli, BP Vice President for Communication and External Relations in the Caspian region. Speakers: Arena Khumbatova, Head of Hydrogen and Green Technologies Department of the State Agency for Renewable Energy Sources; Nazim Mehmedov, UNDP National Project Coordinator; Paris de Eltras, Director of the Venture Lab; Toghrul Aziz, Head of Craft Energy. Please. on the stage. Mr. Bakhtiar, wish you good luck. Thank you very much, and I would like to welcome all conference participants, wish good luck. And before starting the panel, I would like to thank UNEC, the organizer, also the director, and I think that this is very important conference that is devoted and will just contribute to the development of science, and I think so we actually need such type of conferences. And so the book was mentioned, and this book and also articles will be presented to everybody, and this is very important because so this is the articles of international index. More we have it in Azerbaijan, I think so our reputation will just be more positive worldwide. In our in his speech, rector mentioned, so this is today we are going to speak about the green topics, and in our panel we will try to touch different aspects of green energy. And I think we have very serious panelists. Rana, she's the head of the Hydrogen and Green Technologies Department of the State Agency for Renewable Energy Sources, and so she will speak about the mission and also the goals of the ministry. Nazim Mamadov, UNDP National Project Coordinator, he will elaborate on the views of UNDP on the projects, ongoing projects, and Mr. Paris de Eltras is the director of the Venture Lab. He will share the startup European practice. And the last panelist, Togrul Aziz, who is the head of Craft Energy. And this is one of the enterprise in the field of green economy. He will talk on the challenges they face. Of course, before giving floor to the panelists, I would like to stress that green energy and renewable energy, as you know, so this is quite pressing topics all over the world, in the world economy, actually, from technological point of view and also from economic efficiency point of view. So there are research of green energy still ongoing. So there was some improvement in this area, and we feel that there is more competition between countries. So who will find this technological capacity or opportunity, potential, so then that country will become a leading country. And of course, as it happens in different areas, so Azerbaijan is also insisting on developing this area, the way that we implement oil and gas projects. So we also interested in this area as well. If we just look at the Caspian area, so the least resources of oil and gas is here in Azerbaijan, but the successful practice of gas extraction, oil extraction, is actually the successful one is Azerbaijan, even though there are different other countries on the shores of the Caspian Sea. It happened thanks to the guidance of the national leader and also the contract of century contract that allowed to carry out activities, and also thanks to the policy that was pursued, and thanks to this, when we just look from the summit and we just look back to the past, we can see the sequence of the right and proper political decisions made by the country management, and we see right now the country is interested in not only in traditional resources but also in green energy, and quite serious actions and steps are taken in this direction in the country. Also, Mr. President mentioned that the green energy types, and also the so we actually we want to keep our stance as a leader in development of the green energy, and I think that all this can happen only thanks to the proper political decision, and it will provide us more potential. Now I would like to give the floor to Rena. Miss Rena, and Miss Rena, so you are going to talk about the steps in the field of the renewable energy. So please provide this information to us. Thank you very much for invitation. And yes, in the country, so very important steps are being taken in this direction. You will see it from my presentation. So I would like to also stress that I think that the main everything depends on the strategy and plans, strategical plans. So here, only after that we can speak of the social development. So we have the strategic plans for 2026. And these strategic plans has already turned into real steps, and we have our goals and objectives, and we have action plan to reach these goals. So I would like to start from my presentation. So I will talk in English.
Oldu. So I would like to talk about Azerbaijan vision to energy transition. The first slide is about our national priorities for social economic development adopted by Azerbaijan Republic in 2021. So we have 5 development priorities, and 5th priority is clean environmental and country of green growth. So under this priority we have 2 goals: high quality environment and green energy zone. So why this is so important? First of all, our country took some commitments under Paris Agreement. It's commitment, the first commitments were took in their national communication document of Azerbaijan Republic. So this is a reduction of greenhouse gas emission by 35% to vis-a-vis to the level of 1990. So this was very important step. It was our first commitments framed in their official position. So the next commitment were took during the Conference of Party, which were take place in 2020, and it was commitment to reduce overall greenhouse emissions from the Republic of Azerbaijan by 30% by 2050. Actually, under this commitment was stated in our country statement, and aligned with this commitment, we also committed to bring our installed capacity for electricity production covered by 30% of renewable energy sources, and we also have another commitment to make our regulated lands green energy zone, which is very important. Green energy zone, it means that zero emission and green energy zone. Aligned with all this statement, Azerbaijan Republic also endorsed the following statement on breakthrough agenda at COP26. It means that clean power is most affordable and reliable options for all countries to meet their power needs efficiency by 2030. We did many steps were taken already in that direction just to decarbonize our grid. So zero-emission vehicles are new, normal, and accessible, affordable, and sustainable in all regions by 2030. In this direction, we also prepare right now national plan on e-mobility, which will take into account all direction implemented in their world and globally to reduce emissions from mobility sector. Also, near-zero emission steel is preferred choice in global markets with efficient use, and near-zero emission steel production established and growing in every region by 2030. Actually, why the steel production is so important? You know that according to European Commission, we implement, European Commission, actually Europe implements somehow CBAM mechanism. It means that carbon adjustment mechanism, carbon border adjustment mechanism. What it means? That the country exported to European Union will be obliged to pay taxes, carbon taxes. And their first industry included in this mechanism is steel industry, and also we have fertilizer industry that's really very important for Azerbaijan right now. Affordable, renewable, and low carbon hydrogen is globally available by 2030. For renewable energy, we all know that in Europe they have touched also to bring their electricity grid system to be absolutely decarbonized by 2055. And so it's very important to us to understand that if in the previous year we were the country exporting oil and natural gas, mostly to the Europe. So now we should become exporter of green energy, taking into account our great potential in this area. Talking about social economic development strategy for 2022-2026 of Azerbaijan Republic, I would like to underline the main measures actually already stated in our action plan under this strategy. The first measure is regulatory reforms for energy liberalization sector. As you know, in early 2023, we adopted new law of electric power law, actually, and this, according to this law, we are right now working on the regulatory mechanism to implement such a liberalization strategy of Azerbaijan Republic. The second is increased efficiency of gas and heat supply system. According to the national communication provided by Azerbaijan Republic to the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, and I would like also to underline that Azerbaijan Republic obliged to provide such a national communication documents every 4 years, and actually we provide also biennial updated reports every 2 years. So according to these reports, the main source of emission is energy sector, actually, and the energy sector responsible for around 75% of all emission from the country. But I also would like to say that the country, Azerbaijan country globally, so our input in global emissions is 0.15% only. But we have the great potential with renewable energy sources. That's why we should work mostly on export and on decarbonization of our industry and to maybe produce green products. in Azerbaijan. Their third direction is increase of renewable energy sources. I already talked about, but I would like to underline that government tried to make it public partners through the public partner private-ship to expand renewable energy infrastructure in Azerbaijan Republic. So we develop onshore and offshore potential of Azerbaijan Republic, and we use bioenergy and geothermal energy potential. So Azerbaijan is Turkish, European, and energy hub. So this is very important direction because this gives Azerbaijan the priority to export our energy, green energy, natural gas resources, as it was in the previous year through the Turkey to Europe. We have also the next direction, green technologies to combat climate change. So under this direction, we have several concrete measures. So use of low carbon transport and green technology, low emission hydrogen production, and use carbon capture, utilization, and storage mechanism in energy sector, and energy storage system widely implemented, mostly because of renewable energy sources intermittency. Also very important to underline here energy efficiency improvement because then we talk about energy efficiency improvement. The most of emission comes from consumption of energy resources, of the natural gas, actually in residential and commercial building sectors. So to reduce demand for these sectors will allow us to implement in future renewable energy solutions in that direction. We have also the second strategy. Actually, this is a part of the overall strategy, but we adopt also first state program of great return to liberated territories of Azerbaijan Republic, which is really very important for us. This is actually program also consists of a real action plan, and we have inline ministries responsible directly for implementation of this plan, and this plan consists mostly of renewable energy potential assessment, which is very important, studies on use of renewable energy sources like hydropower, geothermal energy, bioenergy, hydrogen technology, and even hydro accumulation. This is in line with also energy storage. So construction of solar and wind power plants. So we have already one project with BP in Jabrail. I will talk about it a little bit later. So we have rehabilitation of decommissioned small power plants. We know that it was widely in use in the liberated lands previously, but right now we need to spend actually the sources for rehabilitation of these projects. Construction on new small hydropower plants is also envisaged, and a pilot project on use of green technologies, establishment of green energy zone, energy efficiency in residential sector, as I said, and most important, energy efficiency in industrial sector also envisaged. So to allow all this to be reality, actually, government of Azerbaijan work on adoption of the laws and regulations, which is very important to bring our regulation in line with EU acquis, actually, and we work in that direction. We adopt in 2021 law on energy efficiency, and three regulation under this law also were adopted. The main thing is their regulation on energy efficiency services and criteria for mandatory energy audit, also in non-energy building, but we plan to do it for energy building, for a residential sector also. So the requirements for energy management system also adopted as a regulation to this law. So we, under approval is regulation on energy efficiency fund. But already in the Cabinet of Ministers. So we adopted also law on use of renewable energy sources in electricity production. So under this law, also for regulation were submitted and already in the stage of approval in the Cabinet of Ministers of Azerbaijan Republic. Here I would like to also underline our green certificates, regulation on renewable energy information system, regulation on support of mechanisms for active consumers, which is very important. The overall potential of Azerbaijan Republic in renewable energy sources were assessed preliminary, but the work ongoing in that direction. The preliminary assessment shows us that onshore potential with the wind energy is around 3 gigawatt. Solar energy 23 gigawatt onshore potential, and the bioenergy and small hydropower potential also as 380 megawatt and 520 megawatt. But we have also the great potential, wind potential offshore. And wind potential offshore consists on 157 gigawatt of technical potential capacity. I will also touch upon it in my presentation later. Renewable energy potential of liberated land were assessed as 2 gigawatt of wind energy and 7.2 gigawatt of solar energy. Mainly solar energy potential is in Gubadli, Zangilan, Jabrayil and Fizuli region. That's why our project with BP is in the Jabrayil region. And wind potential is in the Kelbajar and Lachin region the most. Here we would like to touch on our analysis, on our studies that we did with the support of World Bank, IFC. Actually, this was study released last year during the Baku Energy Forum, and the study is offshore wind energy roadmap. This study consists of two main scenarios. The first scenario is the low growth scenario, and the second scenario is high growth scenario. Under low growth scenario, we have 1.5 gigawatt of the fixed foundation capacity for offshore wind, actually, and this is a real scenario somehow, because in current condition, our grid can absorb additionally 1.5 gigawatt of capacity. But for the high growth scenario, which is 7 gigawatt, we need actually to, it's conditional scenario, and we need to implement heat and transport demand should be decarbonized. Actually, hydrogen incorporated and energy vector. So if we use our excess potential in wind energy sources, we can easily produce green hydrogen. We can use this hydrogen energy in country, and we can just sell it, send it for sale, for export, sorry. Also, we should upgrade our transmission network for improved dispatch and demand-side management capability, and interconnection with neighboring countries, so with neighboring electricity markets actually will be an asset which will allow our export of zero carbon electricity. This scenario needs special plan and a framework for environment and social legislation and use of good international industry practices. But right now we can say that shallow water potential is 35 gigawatt, which is a rather big potential. And for this potential, we need less investment than for deep water potential, which is 122 gigawatt of capacity. But we start to work on our shallow water potential already. We'll see. We also provide this study with the support of EBRD. European Bank for Reconstruction and Development. Actually, this was the market study. This market study were initiated by the Ministry of Energy and Ministry of Economy. We established working group, and this is upon to our work. Actually, we just with the support of European Bank, we actually provide this kind of studies, and this is the results that were released also during this year Energy Forum. The main results that our high potential in renewable energy sources allows development of hydrogen economy. This is very important, and connection with European gas market via South Gas Corridor also gives us opportunity to export blended gas. So gas which several % of this natural gas will be covered by hydrogen, green hydrogen in gaseous form. New hydrogen pipeline construction also possible, but some technological constraints here. Low LCOH, levelized cost of hydrogen, makes hydrogen production competitive on EU market actually, and in country application could be also production of green ammonia, green methanol, power generation, and maybe this is a very expensive technology but hydrogen fuel cells vehicles and district heating also possible to cover by hydrogen in future. Here are the main focus. What we should focus on, blue hydrogen or on green hydrogen production. Of course, this was also widely discussed during working group meetings, and according to European Bank, we comes to the conclusion that barriers for green hydrogen implementation is high price for technological solution, direct via hydrogen. The challenges is intermittency of renewable energy sources and reducing load factor for hydrogen production. Grid electricity, if we use grid electricity, for hydrogen to be green, absolutely green, grid electricity should be zero carbon intensive. So this is also a challenge. Like a challenge with the Ministry of Ecology, we discussed freshwater scarcity. So it's the main focus of climate change adaptation strategy of our republic, and environmental impact on water abstraction from Caspian Sea if we use Caspian Sea water, if we use desalination technology. For blue hydrogen, the technology is rather cheaper, but we have here also challenges with uncertainty around CO2 infrastructure and storage. To be blue, actually low emission hydrogen, we need to use carbon capture, utilization and storage technology. But in our country we have great potential with oil and gas industry, with the depleted wells offshore. So as far as we know, SOCAR and also I believe BP also explore potential to use these depleted wells to store CO2. The upstream fugitive emissions also, we should comply with international low carbon standards. Then we transmitted our blended gas, if it's include also hydrogen, so to decrease emissions level from the losses level actually from the transmission network, and increase in natural gas demand in Europe, and the price for natural gas in Europe also looks like constrained to implement this technology. So here just a vision to hydrogen transportation. How we can transport hydrogen is the main actually challenge for Azerbaijan Republic. We can export through Southern Gas Corridor, as I said already. We can also bring new hydrogen pipeline construction, but development costs and time frames also very important. We can use Trasica route with Kazakhstan, this rail, sea, and rail, and then sea to the port of Georgia, and we also can construct new ammonia methanol pipeline from Baku to Georgia and Black Sea. Okay, and finally, I would like also to mention about several projects with Masdar, Aqua Power, BP, and Fortescue. Our country signed projects on up to 29 gigawatt agreements with the different investors. With Masdar, we already implement project for 230 megawatt in Karadagh. Its solar power plant will be commissioned in October this year, and we also signed overall agreement up to 10 gigawatt, which includes not only green energy but also green hydrogen production. With Aqua Power, we have ongoing project with 230 megawatt wind plant, and MOU with Ministry of Energy on development of battery energy storage system, and also green projects for 1 and 1.5 gigawatt offshore and onshore. With BP, we already talked about this project, and with Fortescue Future Industry, we have framework agreement to develop up to 12 gigawatt for the production of renewable energy and green hydrogen. And the last to mention is our memorandum of understanding signed with European Union, also to double our gas export to European Union via TANAP and TAP project, and they are the big potential from promotion of renewable energy sources generation, but also a very important focus on methane leakages. And the last is the agreement on strategic partnership in the field of green energy development and transmission between the government of Republic of Azerbaijan and Georgia, Romania, and Hungary. So signed in 17 December in Budapest, which will allow us to export maybe more than 4 gigawatt of green energy only to the Europe with using undersea cable. So if you have any question, I'm ready to answer. Thank you very much for your attention. Sorry to be maybe too long.
Rana xanım, çox sağ olun, təşəkkür edirəm.
Thank you very much, Ms. Rana. You actually gave figures, very serious figures and facts to be used in serious research activities. I want to clarify 157 in onshore and offshore. You mentioned serious figures. While we're talking about oil and gas resources, we are talking about approved and prognosed or forecasted. What about renewable energy? How do you identify this potential? Yes, of course, there is gradation here. We are taking into consideration technical potential, and of course, as you know, on offshore we have oil industry, and of course oil industry in the future have plans. By considering all this, we have calculated 157 gigawatts less energy will be used, but additional research is being done. For example, Masdar company currently conducts very serious research on specification of our specific potential, and this is ongoing work. So this research are ongoing now. Thank you very much. Thank you. If you have any questions, of course, you can ask your questions to Rana at the end of panel. Now I would like to give the floor to Mr. Nazim, United Nations Program Coordinator. Previously, I remember United Nations didn't want to sit in the same panel with oil and gas representatives. Now you are here. It's a huge step forward. So United Nations Renewable Energy position or vision in the region or global visions we would like to hear from you. Thank you very much, Mr. Bakhtiar. First of all, I would like to once again greet everyone and thank you very much for organizing this event and for inviting us to be part of this panel. Mr. Adalet, thank you personally to you and to the organizational committee as a whole. So first of all, I would like to give you brief information about our organization. United Nations Development Program is being represented in Azerbaijan since 1992. And if we look at the activity directions of our organization, you will see that we have quite a wide of coverage. Our activities cover all areas of economy. And it includes agriculture, energy, medicine, healthcare, so all the spheres of economy. And specifically, we have to mention that we very closely cooperate with all Azerbaijan government bodies and agencies. And I would even say that we have very close cooperation with municipalities, with regional executive powers, etc. And our team is not that big, but if we take into consideration all our implemented projects, we have approximately 100 staff members. And as you very rightly mentioned, of course, we have some type of cooperation with oil and gas industry, but of course we cannot contribute as much as you do because the grants that we allocate and your activities are incomparable here. But as I said, of course, we somehow also contribute to the process. I want specifically mention in 2021, we completed one of the quite large project, which is NAM project. We implemented it together with SOCAR, and the main meaning of the project was that energy efficiency solutions needs to be researched, and how SOCAR can further apply them in different areas of its activities. The project was divided into 3 directions: energy efficiency in residential areas, solutions, energy efficiency in transportation, and during oil production, capture of the produced gases. And all 3 directions were quite interesting, and the results that we obtained there prevailed over what we actually expected. And I can say that in SOCAR public buildings, yes, it's true that they are old constructions. They were built at the beginning of Soviet Union. Let's say at the mid of the last century, 60s, 1960s so far, all these buildings were fully reconstructed, and we applied energy efficiency solutions there. And it was very surprising that we saw 30-35% of electricity and heat efficiency achieved, and it was very good result, to tell the truth. Also, in the transportation system of SOCAR, we applied certain programs that led to 8-10% of fuel saving. and capture of the gases. During a year, as you know, these gases, production of gases is inevitable part of the oil production. We took only one part of this oil production. 7 million cubic meters of residue gas was occurring there, and we could capture 4 million of this, and a huge part of it was methane gas. So we achieved a reduction of the waste gases disposal to environment. So of course the contribution for SOCAR was not that big, but it was quite meaningful, in the meaning that it was pilot projects to be implemented in the future, and later SOCAR can apply these approaches in other directions, and they actually did it, and we again researched the results and outputs, and the results were quite satisfactory. Another energy efficiency project that is being implemented currently, done with the support of Japanese government in the regions of Azerbaijan, in Barda region mostly, where in the building of refugees and IDPs, residential building, and also in rural school, we implemented energy efficiency solutions, small alternative energy that could be satisfactory for the school level. Small station was set up there and was used for lighting system of the school. Energy efficiency, and in climate we do not only physical activities, but we also work in improvement of legislation. And currently, with the support of EU, the result of implemented activities, we contributed to a large scale of Azerbaijan legislative acquis, and it includes revision of legislation based on Paris Agreement, the commitments that the government undertook, and for Azerbaijan government on a national level, we have identified national level contributions. NDC report was prepared by us and submitted to the government. In comparison with 90s, Azerbaijan Republic undertook 35% of a decrease of emissions to environment. So this is the commitment of the government of Azerbaijan, and up to 2050, they intend to increase the figure to 40% decrease. Also, we have developed a very important document that deals with low emission development strategy till 2050 for Azerbaijan. And together, we already submitted this document to the Minister of Ecology and Natural Resources. That was our stakeholder in the process, and we expect approval in the nearest future of this document as well. On the other directions, coming back to your question, alternative energy. We don't have large projects in this area. most probably will have in the future, but currently we don't have it. But it's not a project yet, but it will be a project soon, and it's United Nations, World Bank, and EU joint program for deliberated areas. This is development strategy for liberated areas. We have selected 3 regions: Fizuli, Jabrayil, and Ahdam regions. And in total, the document consists of 4 parts, and one of them covers energy, alternative energy, energy efficiency, and this is quite an important project, significant project that will be submitted to government till November of this year. This is all. If you have any questions or questions from the audience, I'm ready to clarify. Thank you very much, Mr. Nazim. Of course, United Nations being as an international organization, and you as part of them focus not on commercial projects, as we understand, of course, but on legislative initiatives or program projects, as I meant. And for example, capture of these gases is a very good example for this. In Azeri, Chiraq, Güneşli, where we are operators, we collect these gases in advance. We return part of them to the layers to return the pressure, and after that, the part that is left free, based on the agreement with the government, we submit them back to the government. And actually, we have quite huge numbers collected there. In Azeri, Chiraq, Güneşli, under Azeri, Chiraq, Güneşli, free of charge, we submitted to government these residual gases. Makes approximately a bit less than 30% of the whole gases that we accumulated from Azeri, Chiraq, Güneşli. So this is a residue that is left after we injected it to the layers. I have a question. Ms. Rana mentioned COP26 and 27, and we know COP28 is coming. United Nations and other organizations are very active in the program. So what can we expect from COP28? Will we see new requirements, or we mostly will focus on strengthening of the existing criteria? If we specifically talk about Azerbaijan, first let's take generally. Generally, widening of these requests and strengthening of these requirements, what is expected, and different countries, including developed countries, without seeing any pressure, any commitment. The commitment that they already undertook gives us a reason to claim it. For example, recently Germany and Sweden undertook a commitment till 2050 to fully pass to alternative energy, meaning that fully get free of the traditional energy. 2020, this is at least intention. And I want to mention one thing. Recently, EU conducted meeting where they discussed till 2050 reduction of energy up to 11.7%. So this is the commitment that the EU undertook, and till 2050, 11.7%, meaning that the commitment is less than even 1% per year, but actually it's a large figure. Just as a comparison, 11.7% as an amount in total, it's equal to fully Spanish energy consumption. So only Spain uses this type of consumption. So you can imagine the volumes here. Thank you very much. I also want to answer this question. You said what is planned for COP28, we as a country intend to give national contributions plan. This is very important. We submitted our first contribution document that envisages 35% of decrease. Until 2050, new contribution document is being developed and submitted to Minister of Energy, Minister of Ecology and Natural Resources. We've sent it to them, and of course we submitted our recommendations, and most probably the final version will be ready soon to be submitted to the government. Thank you very much, Mr. Baris. We heard approach to renewable energy from government standpoint, from also from the international organization. What about joint venture, private company? Would like interesting to hear your opinion.
Sure.
Hello.
Mr. Rector and the organizing committee. I'm sorry I don't speak Azerbaijani yet. But I've been coming here now for 2 years, and I love this country. It's amazing. The people are friendly. And I'm going to take a perspective on this topic, which is a little bit different to what we heard today. Because if you think about it, what is the driver of sustainable development? Well, one of the big drivers is young people. Young people. Let me tell you a story that happened to me at my school. I am the head of entrepreneurship at IE Business School. We are the 4th in the world in entrepreneurship, and I'm very proud to say that we're also the partner here in Baku of Sabah Lab, where we're hoping to accelerate many, many young people from the different top universities of the country over the next few years. And so at my school a couple of weeks ago, one of my students, she said to me, "Professor, I just bought a Gucci bag." I said, "Okay." "Yes, I paid $4,000 for the Gucci bag." "Okay. But I bought it in the metaverse." You know the metaverse? In space. And I asked her, "Why did you spend $4,000 on a Gucci bag in the metaverse?" And she responded to me, "Because I did not want to pollute the world. I did not want to continue this pollution that is creating a world that's not sustainable." What would you do to your daughter if she spent $4,000 on a Gucci bag? Well, you don't have to answer that. But in any case, what I'm trying to say here is we're dealing with a very different world. Over the next 20 years, $35 trillion will be transferred from my generation, the baby boomers, to millennials. And a lot of that money will go to millennial women for the first time. Do you think millennials, and in particular women, invest the same way that we do? No. There are different things that are of importance to them. My generation, we work hard to have a good job. Millennials and Gen Zs today, they're not satisfied with a good job. They want an amazing job. They want a job that gives them purpose. And part of that purpose is a sustainable future. And that's why renewable energy and alternative energy is not just something that makes business sense, as we heard today, but it makes social sense. And if we don't do it, we're going to be forced to do it, because that's where society is going. We're living in a world today where there is a lot more critical thinking going on. Let me give you another example. I was in class the other day and I asked the students, because one student was very obsessed with this question. He said, and he asked the whole class, "Where do you think COVID came from?" And he gave 3 choices. It was biological military stuff. It was an experiment in a laboratory that went wrong, or it was a social experiment by governments. 80% of the class answered it was a social experiment by governments. Our young people don't think the same way that we do many times. And things change. What is in fashion in the US becomes in fashion in Europe, becomes in fashion in the rest of the world. And so the reality is that we're dealing with a society of young people that is very different. And they're going to be driving this effort for renewable energy and alternative energy as part of this idea that they want a much more sustainable future. And why is that? Because, again, we're living in a world today where what gives people meaning is very different to what it used to be. In my generation, what gave us meaning? What was the most important thing that gives you meaning in my generation? Maybe religion, God, family. Well, what gives people meaning today many times is very different. Again, they want to feel that they have a purpose, that they have impact on society. And so it's very important to keep that in mind when we're looking at these things, because as I said, and as we've heard here, renewable energy and alternative energy make tremendous business sense. Your country is going through a lot of change. You're investing in this. There are overseas groups coming in here also to invest in this. But it is important to keep in mind that this is not just something that is in fashion today. Very much the future is going to be about this. Let's look at an example of carbon credits. A lot of people don't realize that today there are carbon exchanges in many countries where you can actually trade carbon credits. And now, as we speak, in many parts of Latin America, the Middle East, Africa, Asia, there are people trying to create carbon credits. Farmers. In Brazil right now, a lot of farmers are thinking, instead of planting crops, I'll plant trees because I can get money from these carbon credits. So all over the place, you're seeing that much of our economic activity today is being driven by this need to feel that we're building a sustainable future. And that goes from anywhere from carbon credits to sustainable fashion, green fashion, everywhere we look. And so I don't want to take much longer here, but I just want to make the point that it's great to be looking at the economic sense that all these things make, but we should always remember, as you saw in the case of this young lady that bought the Gucci bag, that many times society's motivations are not driven always just by money. And so we need to keep that in mind, because as companies and as governments, we have a responsibility to our citizens. And our citizens today are demanding things that they weren't demanding in the past, and they will continue to change as we move into the future. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Just one follow-up question, if I may. I'm very familiar with Gen Z. I have 3 representatives at home debating with me every day on everything. And that's clear. They disagree with everything we say. But do you agree that in many cases the Gen Z view is more like populism, affected by liberal democratic populism around the world, without going into details and essence of the issue? If that's the case, how we should manage that in a proper way? Because for me, buying Gucci bag in a Gucci shop or buying in metaverse has nothing to do with sustainability. Please.
Yes, very interesting and controversial question. The reality today is much of this has been politicized in the world. And so in the world today, you have 2 camps. You have the globalists that are looking for no borders, no religion, no family, and maybe no gender. And you have the nationalists that are looking for borders, family, religion. And they're more usually on the right, and the other ones are more usually on the left. And so what you find is that many young people are being manipulated, if that could be the case, with respect to this. And this manipulation sometimes is affecting their behaviors. And it's these trends that we're talking about. And so I agree with you that you're seeing this very liberal mentality that is penetrating a lot of society. But at the same time, I think that this is a trend that we're not going to stop. We cannot stop. We're living in a global world today, and as I said, more and more young people are looking for meaning in their lives, and this is not going to get better. What can we do? We can do our best to make sure that the institutions that we have as a country, we try to maintain them, but they have to be maintained reaching out to young people. You cannot maintain them anymore and forcing them.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. Teşekkür ederim. Panelimizin
Thank you very much. The next speaker of our panel is the Toğrul Aziz. So we actually talked about policy, about theory, but you already started to implement it at home even. I saw your YouTube video at home in your garden. You already fully moved to the renewable energy. So please. Thank you very much. First of all, I would like to thank the organizers for such a high-level meeting, and also to Mr. Bakhtiyar, to the rector of UNEC, and thank you very much for your speeches, and also thanks to the speakers. About myself, my name is Toğrul Aziz. I lived in Germany for 20 years, so alternative and renewable energy and area. I also I actually was the head of such a construction company. It's been for 4 months that I'm in Azerbaijan, and in Azerbaijan I actually we kind of together with our partners we founded Craft Energy, and we fulfill the same activities as in Europe. In Azerbaijan we also want to apply it. So what we do is the heating systems, electric energy, and that are energy efficient, like 100% energy efficient. So the solar panels and also the air and water based heating pumps. Projects are implemented by us. While founding this company, we actually faced a number of interesting challenges. So as regarding the formation of the spreading of the alternative energy, we just researched the market, whether there are some opportunities or possibilities to do so. And so I would like to share my experience. And what we saw is that the spreading of alternative energy, actually it is supported by the Mr. President with his initiative. Upon his initiative, a number of laws and legal acts were adopted. However, on sites there are a number of issues that kind of course, we need some time just to overcome these challenges or these barriers. First of all, I would like to stress that in Azerbaijan, there are a number of projects that are implemented in Azerbaijan through tenders, and So the standards and the control or supervision mechanism over the quality, they are very weak, or maybe they are absent. So actually, sometimes we see that the companies using that equipment for 20 years or something. They try to show it as an innovative technologies even after the project. So the control mechanisms are also not good, weak. We actually apply to the ministry, and the private companies that carry out some projects, at least RENA, also the agency of the renewable agency. So actually they should provide their opinion about it before the construction or something, and so they should provide their feedback, and otherwise everybody. So then we will see the failures. Then, in that case, what are they? For example, in Karabakh and also the Eastern Zangezur. So we see the very quick or speedy reconstruction works. But if there will be some unique rule on, getting some feedbacks from the related agencies and organizations, and also to implement some control mechanism, in that case, it will be there will be success. But if you pay attention, people do not believe in alternative and renewable energy. It happens because we face very often such unsuccessful projects. And also the other issue is that majority of the companies, they do not have engineers who can actually deal with all this equipment, or who will not have corresponding knowledge. However, also the projects on alternative and also heating systems actually covers a lot of researches. This includes not only consumer calculations, but also the solar the calculation of solar hours, and also the feasibility of the project, and also the annual weather forecast, and also the building isolation, and also including the cubic meter calculations. So these are engineering calculations that should be included in the report. And actually, based on these reports, this project can be submitted, and could be implemented. Only in that case, there will be success. The other issue is that, by the way, the issue of cooperation with engineer, or having the engineer staff in the companies. So actually, companies should have some certificates in order to provide such service. And in Azerbaijan model, there is the first institution or the body that can actually provide this certificates could be the alternative and renewable agency. That actually there should be some state body, or maybe non-state but famous institution or organization who will be competent to provide such certificates. The other issue is the certification of the products. According to my observations, we concluded that whether the products that are on sale, or let's say the products that are used by the tender winner companies, they do not have certificates. The products that are used in the projects, they do not have certificates, and but in international, let's say, projects, they actually require such certificate. However, in state projects or the project that were actually are implemented upon the instructions from the state or from the government, they do not have certificate. For example, if they use solar panels or any cables, wires, as you know, there are different products of different brands, but the production or manufacture happens in China. And also the if the client side does not demand the certificate, even the product have the same brand, the same certificate, but we see the difference in quality. It means, let's say, the same model, there are inventor equipment, so the same model is provided by many companies with the term of like 6 months or 1 year, or let's say solar panel, in case if their guarantee actually is provided for 30 years of the Canada's solar panels. So in Azerbaijan, many companies actually give only 1 year of guarantee or 6 months of guarantee. Of course, such kind of things kind of prevent the project to be implemented successfully. Quality is very important. We also applied to the Cabinet of Ministries regarding the, imposing the requirement for the certification of the products that are used in Azerbaijan for such projects, or maybe in some state bodies or like strategically important facilities. So the certification of products should be demanded, and in order for the project to be quality project. Also, I would say I would stress here the issue of, let's say, the customs fees, and even though if the customs fees are, let's say, reduced, and also the issue of the VAT is still imposed in many companies. So many companies, they just use VAT, but there are other companies they do not use VAT. In that case, the equipment cost becomes very expensive, and this kind of prevents the spread of alternative or the implementation of the alternative projects, renewable energy projects. The other issue is the issue of the crediting. So the financing of the projects so there is the only one is the organization that is the agency for the support of the entrepreneurs, and they provide some soft loans to entrepreneurs. But there is one detail here. The thing is that so here we are not we're talking about the project that up to 250,000 manat. So, but over it, you should pay like 30% of the project. But for many entrepreneurs, this is really big burden, and for 30% of this amount will be really quite big amount of money, because it's not like cheap projects, and it would be nice if there will be changes in this with this regard. So that's it from my side. If there are some other questions, I will just reply. Thank you very much. Actually, you mentioned the fields of focus, let's say, that should be paid attention to, and so we always keep myself. So we are just asking the questions regarding the taxes and so on. But we need just to review the cases separately. But on YouTube, I saw that there are some equipment that you produce yourself, and then you can even sell it to the grid, you know. Can you please talk about it a little bit? Thank you very much. The systems. So you're talking about the ones, the equipment that I installed in my house? Yes. So actually, there is no any standard procedure. Every projects are different, depends on the consumer capacity, and actually, according to our measures, 15 kilowatt, 14 kilowatt consumption we have, and we just installed the system of 10 kilowatt, and we just installed the system of 15 kilowatt. Why so? Because during daylight also we have installed measure. So actually it was supported by ENERJİ, and ENERJİ that installed these measures, and these panels they actually produce 15 kilowatt hour, so we produce quite sufficient, and the excess actually is shared with the general grid, and at night there is offsetting, and the excess part in Azerbaijan, and according to the information that we got in 2024 January, so there will be so some rule or some law on the repayment. Also, by the way, I would like to speak of the subsidization. So the alternative energy should be subsidized, and as you know, in Azerbaijan, electric energy and also the use of the natural gas is subsidized and by the state. And as a result of the subsidies, actually the calculations that we receive is lower than the cost, and this actually it actually brings to the return period over 10 years, and so the thing is that, you know, that the spreading of the alternative energy should be also subsidized, and I think that because why it should be like this, because the state actually gets or earns twice if it will be spread all over the country, and it is kind of profitable, and the traditional energy that will not be used in the country could be exported, so it will also bring some extra profit. Yeah, and also it leads to the lower production costs. It will bring to the increase of the export, and also getting some new earnings or profits, opening some new workplaces. So it has only positive sides, positive results. Thank you very much. And so you already kind of sell it to the grid and you kind of earn something, but but right now you are not imposed by VAT, but in the future it may happen. Thank you very much. If the auditorium has questions, so please. If there are no questions, so then I'm going to actually give one last question. So energy shift is, you know, that shifting from the traditional resources to the renewable resources. It should happen in parallel. Actually, so during some time, so traditional resources should be used for some time, and then the part. So there should be some transitional period in order to move from traditional resource to the renewable resources. What should be the balance actually in this process? Thank you very much. So what we think is that actually we should use energy efficiency measurement, and we in general think that we need to reduce this consumption of the traditional resources to the maximum, and then the reduced capacity should be actually covered by alternative or renewable sources. I think it is the best solution that is already being implemented throughout the world. In Azerbaijan is the same approach, and it is not possible just to move directly to the renewable energy, because there is no enough technology. Some balancing procedures should be done that actually leads to extra costs. But in general, we think we want to reduce the use of the traditional resources, and then kind of fill this gap with the renewable energy. And actually we had some evaluation. We just result of this evaluation, we identified that it is possible to use the renewable energy. So actually right now, within the Paris Agreement in many countries,
there are certain projects that are being concluded, and as Azerbaijan, we signed a contract, memorandum of understanding with Japan, and this memorandum of understanding is concluded within GCM, Joint Credit Mechanism. It's applied by Japanese Ministry of Environment and Ministry of Economy of Japan. Ministry of Environment applies this mechanism. For example, certain subsidies are implemented specifically to renewable energy projects. They are being assessed, and as a result of project, reduced emissions are divided. For example, it depends on your contract. So in order to participate in this mechanism, 3 times a year, there are calls for proposals, and you as a company, if you can find a partner from Japan, can implement it. So the subsidies are already on the way, because developed countries undertook these commitments to reduce these emissions. Thank you very much, Rana. Mr. Nazim. Very interesting question. And though the question seems simple, but to answer it, we have to look at reality, and it's not that simple. But anyway, for example, I want to mention that the work that is done by the country's leadership on alternative energy, for example, involvement of foreign investors to large projects, initiation of these large-scale projects, both on wind and solar energy, it will be a huge contribution to loosen our dependence on traditional energy. Yes, of course, step by step, we will not stop using traditional energy, but step by step, it will help at least to release gas for export purposes, and it will be a huge contribution here. But at the same time, I want to return to energy efficiency projects, and the cheapest energy is the energy that you save, that you do not use. And that's why I think there are certain gaps we have that needs to be solved, both from the legislative standpoint and for example, during the construction of residences and technologies that are applied there, we need to select proper solutions here. For example, 90% of our residential buildings, if we don't consider old buildings, in the 90% of the constructed buildings, the heating system is done through combi system, right? But if they have centralized heating system, even the simplest reports show the huge difference here, both in decreased decreased money spent by the consumer themselves, also in the pollution as a whole. So we should have a complex approach here. We may say a lot, but limited time. Thank you very much for touching a very important aspect. Please.
Just briefly say that I think we need to be careful. I'm from the United States, and in some states, like in California, they're trying to impose very quickly measures that are not realistic, in particular because of, let's say, like battery technology. And so they're trying to impose all these EV projections for the future. And so I think we need to, that this transition needs to be done very smartly. And again, as we said earlier, we need to make sure that it's not political.
Thank you very much. Umarım.
Teşekkür ederim.
Economical efficiency, from economic efficiency standpoint, and from the environmental pollution standpoint, alternative and traditional energy comparison. I don't want to be one-sided, but balance should be towards alternative energy radically, because economically it's efficient, cost-saving, and of course it's environmental friendly. And that's why radically towards alternative energy. Thank you very much. Thank you very much to the audience. I guess we have one question.
And I wanted to ask a question pointed to Mr. Perez. I have a question about this topic you talked about earlier on. How can we have a sustainable life and contribute to our environment as young people? As you know, the world is changing and the youth requires more from the environment. And are there any projects that encourage the young people to participate starting from now? Like as someone who has never participated in something that is involved in the environment, how can we take part in those things? And I really wanted to ask that question.
Thank you.
Teşekkür ederim. Yaxşı sualdır və bir çox mən məktəbdə özüm sahibkarlıq məktəbini idarə edirəm və bu mövzuyla bağlı çoxlu startaplar vardır. Biz görürük ki, hardasa 10% startapların məhz ətraf mühitlə bağlı və yaxud da cəmiyyətdə təsirlə bağlı yaradılır. Yəni 30-40%-ə qalxmışdır artıq onların sayısı. Startap ekosistemlərinə qoşula bilərsiniz gənclər olaraq. Orada yeni texnologiyalar işlənib hazırlanır və yaxud da yeni işlər görülür. Məsələn, qida tullantısı. Qida tullantısı çox böyük bir problemdir və dolayı yolla o təbii ki, ətraf mühitə də təsir göstərir, ətrafın çirklənməsinə təsir göstərir.
Our use of food. There's a lot of food being wasted in the world. And so there are a lot of new startups now that are dealing with food waste. So my advice is, as a young person, you have to be proactive. You have to go out there and look for meaning in things that are going to change the environment around you. You have to do it for the right reasons. But one way to do that is to work within the startup and entrepreneurial ecosystem, because that offers a lot of opportunities for young people today.
Thank you so much.
Bir sual burada var. Mikrofon zəhmət olsun.
Azərbaycan Dövlət İqtisadiyyat Universiteti Elmi.
UNEC, Elnur İsmailov, using alternative traditional energy resources and comparing the last 10 years costs and comparing it to renewable energy for the next 10 years. Do you have any indicators on those comparisons? Indicators on efficiency. Do you want specific indicators? Actually, in my presentation, I shared this data up to 2030, 30% energy in installed capacity. These are our plans. 30% use of alternative energy resources. Also, together with BP, we developed master plan, and in this master plan, there are many indicators in all directions. In regards to application of this master plan, Minister of Energy created working group, and this within the activities of this working group, most probably, I don't know, maybe in the nearest future, but we plan to develop such a strategic plan development. Thank you very much. I just want to add, if you are talking about consumption efficiency, but you also talk about export efficiency, of course, in the recent years, nothing will change oil and gas revenues. So there is no other source. There should be many other sources that could replace them. And one important step in transition to renewable energy is the more we use renewable energy in consumption, the same share, natural gas to be used for the same share of consumption will be used for exports. That will bring additional money to the country. So this is additional component. Thank you very much for your question. If no other questions, let's finalize this panel. Thank you very much to all speakers. Wishing success to conference, and after lunch today and tomorrow also, the conference will continue its work in different sessions. Once again, thank you very much to our speakers. Please do not leave the hall yet. Thank you very much to Bakhtiar and speaker for your interesting presentations. So we came to an end of the first panel of the second session. The conference will continue in the second part at 2 o'clock. With the next panel within this conference. From 16 countries, over 49 speakers will participate in online format in 12 workshops and 80 sessions. Conference is broadcasted live through UNEC Facebook and conference Facebook sites as well. Before finishing the conference, once again, I would like to thank the conference speakers. UNEC rector is called here to give the presence to speakers. The plaque is presented to Bakhtiar Aslanbeyli. Plaque Rana Humbatova. Nazim Mamadov. Please come close to memory picture. And now we have come to an end of the first panel of the second day of our conference. In the second session, we will talk about economic greening as well as inclusive economy, and we invite all of you to participate in that panel. Thank you very much for your attention.